Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds, hang out with these nerds.
Nathan Nerdark.
Nergus Ryan.
And you may notice, maybe you don't notice, but we are shy one Nerdarchist here today, and so we've split the party, or has an adventure wandered off on their own.
He went on a side quest, I think.
He did.
Yeah. He's cavorting with pixies and satyrs and all kinds of crazy things out at the Glimmerdark convention.
He is. Glimmerdark, it's in North Jersey somewheres. I don't know. He's there. If you happen to be there or happen to be going there, he'll be there till Sunday. If you see Nerdarchist Ted, just tackle him to the ground and hug him and name him George.
Yeah, there you go.
And first say hi, Nerdarchist Ted. So he knows you're not trying to just
abduct him. So if there's a Nerdarchist Ted in the wild sighting, we'd love to hear about it because that's just entertaining.
Yeah, or if you've seen him, if you saw him last night, because I believe that's when he went there. How's the sound coming through, guys? We've been playing with some things and we're trying to get better with the production stuff, but we're working on it. We suck. What do you want from us? We're just gamers. We brought funny shaped dice. Bless you.
Yeah, thank you.
So we got a bunch of people hanging out in here. So a couple things on the agenda. One of them is we had 2 new writers. And who are they? We had a Megan and a Doug.
Yes.
And Ty is doing a fantastic job over there growing the bullpen.
As overlord of the Nerdarchy.com site, which, speaking of which, for Doug, it was really cool. His article got picked up from the Dungeons and Dragons. It has 60,000 people that are members to it.
Yeah, the fan page
for that. So that was really cool that it got shared over there.
I think they're probably unofficial.
yeah, more than likely unofficial.
You guys know how fan pages go, but some of them run them darker than others. Like ours is pretty open,
transparent.
Yeah, we're on there all the time. We go on there as ourselves and we say who we are. But other fan pages, they're like, it's like the Cold War.
They're like a shadowy figure.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's actually, I remember pointing out to you that somebody else created there was another Nerdarchy Facebook page somewhere.
Yeah.
But it had 3 members or something like that.
There's also a Nerdarchy Steam account because I couldn't get the Nerdarchy Steam account, so I had to do nerdarchy.com or something.
Yeah. That's funny.
That's fine. Free advertising.
Yeah, it is kind of, you have to pick up all those things all at once.
But I feel like it was, I think that one was coincidental because it's just some guy in Vietnam or something.
Yeah, I mean, Nerdarchy is in the Urban Dictionary. So.
Or Thailand, or it was someplace like that. It was someplace overseas where I don't think it was, they're like, oh, I want to take that thing. I think it's just a cool word that comes up every once in a while.
Nathan Nerdark was not taken on Steam though.
Yeah. Watch in Thailand or whatever. It means something completely different. Yeah.
Douchebags with beers and glasses.
Yeah. That is the literal translation.
Oh, I'm still James Carden. I am still gathering the list together. I wanted to get a good amount of people showing interest before I
set it up,
formulated it out, and set it out to people.
Yeah. So with that, I mean, since James brought it up first, the elevator pitches. Nathan Nerdark wants to leave his part-time job. He's Mr. Mom during the day, and by night he works.
Computer.
Yeah. Well, somebody else's computer.
Somebody else's
doing
data
not
entry
Nerdarchy
bullshit
stuff, which is the important thing. It's not Nerdarchy.
Yeah. So he would like to trade that job in for running games for you guys. And he's going to do is sell slots in campaigns. If you guys are interested in it, just send us an email at nerdarchy@gmail.com for now. Eventually, we'll have more of a formal list. We'll put everybody on and then figure out he might do a once a month campaign, a once a week campaign, a bi-weekly, something like that with different price points.
And probably some one shots just if people want to just do a pickup game and they're available. So.
Yeah.
I'm still figuring it all out because we've never done it before. We've done fan games once a month.
Yeah, the fan games are completely random. So this is the way to literally just buy your slot and run it by the prestigious Nathan Nerdark. I mean, this motherfucker's the only one with the different name. So
yeah. So and again, obviously, we're gonna, like we said, we're still gonna run our free fan game that we run for you guys, and with the same via Patreon. Or sign up on the list, which is free. It's just giving us your email, or join the company of the NAG because sometimes games happen in there as well. So there are ways to game with us. Yeah. This is just going to be one more.
It's a way for Nate to trade out his working for the man to working for you.
Yeah,
folks.
pretty much.
And it'll free up some time that I'll have available to put towards Nerdarchy
Other
work, so,
nerdy endeavors.
That is the plan.
And
So,
if you want to sign up for the free fan games, then you can do it on the newsletter, which is in the links we're going to be putting.
It's pretty much in the links of every. all
Yeah,
of them.
just go through the links, you'll find it.
Yeah, and which you may also have noticed a new thing that Dave started dropping. Like, there's this just like pin post that's like ways to help support Nerdarchy. So that's just like you can now go to any of your videos, and if you do shopping on Amazon or drive through RPG or drive by RPG, then if you click through those links first, then we would get a small proportion of whatever you're spending there. You know, it goes as high as to like what 6% or something like that.
no, we've seen 7.
Yeah.
7. We've gotten close to 7.5. It's always like sell another 120 items.
Yeah.
And by the time we've hit that point, it's like the end of the month.
Yeah. So that'll literally never happen. But like, you know, if like 2,000 people like use that link on a regular basis, like it almost gets to the point maybe we can pay like half a salary off of just Amazon money at a certain point someday.
Yeah, with that being said, a lot of you guys are using those links, so we want to thank you.
Yeah,
we really appreciate it.
We appreciate that. It goes a long way.
Along with our patrons to support us over there, all of you guys, and you guys just that watch and share our videos, all you guys help us out, and we really appreciate it. We've been growing. We've picked up momentum. You know, just last year towards like I guess want to say November, we weren't even gaining. You know, we were gaining like 1,000 subscribers a month, and now we're doing like 2,000, 2,500 a month.
2,000's become 2,000 or a little bit more has become pretty regular.
And
So
you know, and that
cool.
a big part of that is because you guys are out there liking, sharing, commenting. You're really helping us grow Nerdarchy, so we can reach more D&D fans, which is awesome.
You know, too, like I think one of the things that could help like massively. So sharing on Facebook is fantastic, but also just like. Man, when shit gets picked up on Reddit, like it goes over big. It really fucking goes over big. So if any of you guys hang out over on Reddit and like maybe there's a favorite video you have of the week or of the month or whatever, and you want to share it in some of the discussions, that'll do a lot for having other people find us. Like it's weird, like you know. To some degree, we do show up in searches pretty regularly when people are looking for stuff. But every once in a blue, we'll get somebody like, I can't believe you guys haven't showed up my feed yet. Like we had one person commented like on videos and then also on the channel discussion. So like it's just random chance of people finding us, and we appreciate when you guys help us make that happen.
So one of the things Ted wanted us to mention, other than the fact that if you're at Glimmerdark to tackle him and give him hugs and call him George. Was the fact that also remember for you guys that want to get it in on our Patreon giveaways, they aren't really Patreon giveaways. It's just if you're a patron, you're automatically entered for our giveaways. You can mail to our P.O. Box, P.O. Box 534, Woodbury, New Jersey, 08086, I think.
Is that in the description or is that?
It might not be in the description,
It might not be,
but it is. But I can tell you where it is. It is absolutely under our giveaways and contests over on nerdarchy.com. It's actually one of the tabs at the top in the menu, so you guys can go over there. You can find it, and there's instructions are there for you to get a free entry. Because
if we didn't have that option, it would be an illegal lottery, and we could go to federal pound me and ask prison. Yeah. Which I'm not saying, if you enjoy that happening to you, well and good. I, on the other hand, am not a fan, so I'm.
Well, generally it happens unwillingly there, so that's never.
That's not my kind of LARP.
It's not consent. Yeah. Lack of consent is problem.
That's not my kind of LARP.
So anyway, Ted wanted to make sure you knew that, even though he's not here. Like we said, so awesome the ties grow in the stable of writers with Megan and Doug,
and you guys, and I'm very sad that I wasn't on the road trip bit of things, but with Ted, Nate, and Matt got to go hang out with Ty, so that was really cool.
Ted and I did.
Oh, okay.
We dropped off Matt first, and then
they got rid of the extra baggage.
It would have been really cool to hang out with Ty because, I get to talk to him sort of tertiarily, and it would have been cool to take the road trip. I did the flying and visiting family thing instead.
The giveaway we're going to be doing later on today, we're not going to announce it yet, but it's from Ark Knight, and these things are really cool. These are the flat packs, and they're they have taverns and coliseums and ships and all kinds of great stuff.
Going a little closer with that because there's a bit of a glare happening. So we got that, some rocks and stuff happening.
The one we're giving away is 16 modular maps let you build an endless sprawling city, and this one here is Cobblestone City. What's that one on? Flip it over.
So it doesn't have the like a proper label thing.
It doesn't?
Well, I mean, or it might be inside somewhere.
Maybe it got mixed up.
Yeah.
So these are really cool. Again, we want to thank Ark Knight for sending them to us so that we can give them to you guys. And at some point during this broadcast, we're going to give them away.
Yeah, Vamp. I will see if I can find the title card part of this thing.
So, and the other thing is, I guess you guys noticed, we were doing more giveaways that are going to be just like, hey, like this thing, share this thing, comment, and be a subscriber. So we're going to do more of those, where we give away T-shirts and stuff like that, which is cool. We haven't set up a formula. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but we're kind of a little disorganized on how we do shit. But we want to come up with a formula for that because we love giving you guys stuff.
Well, I mean, we're doing the milestone giveaways. Like that's So at 30K, that'll be a thing. 40K, 50K.
That's coming up soon. Yeah. Since we, like we talked about earlier, we get about 2,000 to 2,500 subs every month. So if that's consistent.
Yeah.
Then within February, I think we'll be giving away the 30K.
Yeah. So and the idea is too that sort of we'll do every 10K milestone up until 100K, and then like maybe we'll rein it into like every 50K we do a giveaway.
Every 1 million.
Yeah, exactly. Nah, like we gotta be willing to show our boobs, and first we have to have boobs, and then they have to be boobs people want to see.
So I think if we do it every 10K.
Yeah. It's gonna be every 10K.
They want the roll call. We didn't do the roll call where people are from or who's in here. And there's a bunch of people in here now.
So many people. Yeah, probably would have been easier a little bit ago, but now.
Yeah, Excalibur, OPS, Arcania, Kyle S is always around.
Kyle.
James Garden, Neil Raska, the sweet Poonaner.
I think Poonaner is about right. All right.
The balloon. I don't know how you would say that one.
Yeah.
There's always that Pork Chop 17. Awesome.
Pork chops and gravy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Owen Grist. Owen, I just had some interactions with you, I think today over on the YouTube videos from the gameplay we do with the fans.
Oh yeah, so that just went up today, the Tampa gameplay, which was really cool. It's so awesome to hang out with you guys. So thank you for being there, because if nobody was there, it'd be kind of weird if we just showed up and nobody was there to play with. So that was really fun.
Oh, and it's begun. People have mentioned where they're from. We have Jersey, obviously, with Kyle. We have Florida, and once one person puts in we got Virginia Beach here. Once one person does it, it's like dominoes. Everybody does it. But I actually really enjoy that. I like seeing where people are from, and how far we're reaching.
How far flung.
Really cool. Sometimes you'll see like a country or something. You're like, wow, that's a real place.
It's like, I don't even know where that is. Here in America.
Yeah, which is kind of funny. I don't know. Did any of you guys catch the Travis Hansen interview we did? And Brian Stillman was cool enough to come on and hang out. That was a lot of fun. I got to do that. For me, it was Thursday afternoon. For Travis, it was Thursday morning. It's just, time traveling.
He's a time lord. Yeah, I mean, so the best part is like they've kind of got that like domestically outsourced the interview. Brian was so good at interviewing artists because he's working on that Dungeons and Dragons art documentary, Eye of the Beholder, that like Brian just knows how to get artists talking about their craft and their trade. So it really worked out. Like I would have wanted to been on that, but I was working for the man during that time. So
Nebraska, Wisconsin. Yeah, initially is that New Mexico? Yeah, New Mexico.
ABQ. I don't know if they're in ABQ.
Oh yeah. Initially, my objective when I was setting it up was to get Ryan on, but I couldn't match up Ryan and Travis's schedules. He's got a Kickstarter going on right now. It's
winding down.
Yeah, it's only a couple of days left.
3-4 days, I think.
Yeah, but he's killing it. Last time I looked, it was like 63,000 on the Kickstarter, and his webcomic is fantastic.
Life of the Party.
Yeah. Realities of an RPG. They're hilarious. They're self-contained. He reuses a bunch of the same characters.
So he's doing like single panel comics essentially, and getting the joke across in one panel, which is really cool. Like from hanging out with Brad Geiger, who's in Philadelphia and is a super awesome guy. Like some of the people that Travis mentioned is a fan of, like also Brad Geiger. Like there's a through line of people that are doing professional comics that, as far as the comic style stuff, they all seem to be kind of fans of the same people going back through it.
We do got ABQ in the house.
All right. Yeah, I lived in Albuquerque.
But did you know Tax Scarwing?
I don't know about Tax Scarwing, but I'll say I used to live behind the Taj Mahal, like near that Smiths around there. So if you're familiar with that sort of intersection or area, can't remember the damn road I lived off of, but yeah.
It was years ago.
It was so far,
like
far
last
away.
year.
Yeah. 3 years ago now.
Yeah. It's been a little while. But anyway, so Travis was awesome to have on. And apparently I really didn't need a professional artist interrogator to get him talking at all. It was just, turn on the mic and he was ready to go. He was very easy to talk with too. It was a great interview. Brian Stillman is also really cool to have on. And the whole time, like every once in a while, you'd see something move in the background over his shoulder. Yeah. And it was his cat. I'm pretty sure he almost got killed like half a dozen times.
Well, and if third edition taught us anything, the cat is more threatening than the kobold. So
that is true. Yeah. Although fifth edition reined it back in and up the ante a little bit on the kobold and brought down the house cat.
Yeah, brought the cat down.
That used to be a running joke at our table in third edition was the cat was a quarter CR and this kobold was a 6, therefore making the cat a superior threat.
It was more substantial of a threat, for sure.
So we have a question. James Carden, he wants to know if we had to make a guess, what would be the upcoming delayed Unearthed Arcana?
42.
That may be how many Arcanas are eventually going to be had.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. They were on a roll and they went through them all, and then they threw us through a loop by throwing in one that wasn't even. They gave us a class instead of archetypes, and then we're like, what's going to be next? Rogue or Ranger, because they've done so much Ranger stuff. They smashed them together, and then they're like, boom, guys, because you're not going to see any for a couple weeks now.
Yeah. So really they did the Artificer, so I would think something that's going to kind of help fill out Everon.
No, they were going through. They were literally going in alphabetical order, and then they, for some reason, after Monk, they jumped to. I think was it after Monk or after Paladin? One of those. I think it might have been after Paladin, and they jumped right to Artificer. Yeah. And then we're like, okay, that was a bit of a curveball.
I mean, it might be kind of how we do the Patreon rewards, where like people just kind of like work. Like sometimes you're just something grabs you and decide you're going to work on this and create this thing. So like, there's probably this backlog of stuff that's in process, and then it's just like, well, this gets finished.
It could be, but they went barbarian, bard, cleric, druid. Yeah. Like they literally went through them all up until Paladin, right in alphabetical order.
Yeah, I would kind of like to see. Another 1 or 2 warlock packs would be pretty cool. Well, I guess they did the one. They did those 1 and 2 ones.
I would actually be more interested in the sorcerer origins.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But
basically, because between third edition and Pathfinder, like there's like a dozen sorcerer origins. Like 12, 16 of them or whatever. I want me the aberrant one because the aberrant one was so
creepy.
Fun. It's so fun and creepy. Yeah,
just the right amount of tentacles.
Yeah, because like I made this like creepy hairless gnome that like I was going with the idea that the aboleth was like his bloodline was descended from an aboleth somehow. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's funny. They're talking about making a kobold. I think they're talking about making a kobold styled after Kraven the Hunter.
Yeah.
From Spider-Man.
Yeah.
With house cats.
With house cats instead of lions.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so as to what do we think they're going to do, we have no idea what they're going to do. Because really, like, we had come up with a plan on releasing videos based off of what they were doing. So we're like, all right, we'll let them run through, all of or most of the new archetypes. And then we would revisit all the classes and we would, like, compile all the archetypes that are out there and kind of, like, reformulate what we thought of them. And I'm glad we didn't start it because it kind of stalled on their side.
Yeah.
We'd be like, all right, what do we do now? Yeah. We're waiting for them to finish. But yeah, so that is definitely in the works too. We want to do the classes again. Several people have asked that, hey, 5th edition has been around a few years.
A plethora of people have asked for that. So I also point out, so before too long, we're going to start a series that's really speaking to the new player to D&D, sort of, because there's lots of stuff that we forget that, like, if you're starting and have no mentorship to teach you how to play, is going to be hard. So we're going to do a series of a video a week for probably a very long time to help people that have minimal access to people to teach them how to play. So there'll be something like, if you're a more experienced gamer, like it might be something you could skip, or like maybe you can weigh in the comments people's questions that you're going to have for new players, and that would be super cool and helpful. But anyway, like Easy Roller Dice is going to sponsor that for us. So easyrollerdice.com/Nerdarchy if you want to pick up anything from them over there. But yeah, so that's in the pipeline. I think that should be launching this upcoming week. Should be the first video, so that'll be happening.
They're marveling how you transplanted the hair from your head onto your beard.
Yeah, no, it's good. Like, I mean, really, you don't really need that up here. Just
You're more aerodynamic now.
Put it where it belongs. Yeah, that's right. I have to tuck my head down, and then like my neck's warm, so that's good. Can't argue with that.
Absolutely. So we have been talking about it, and I guess it came up a little bit in the last Q&A we did, talking about shaving our beards and how much, and Nerdarchy Ryan has suggested a beard off. Now we don't know if this thing will actually come to pass or not, because me and Ted are very resistant to shaving off our beards. So, but the concept was like a milestone goal, and then we would play a board game or something like that, and determine who the loser has to shave their beard.
There'd be conditions that, like, depending on what the game, if it was a team game or whatever, that the losing either player or team would have to shave their beards in shame.
Yes.
Humiliation. So I don't know. I thought that could be kind of fun and interesting, and there would be legitimate, real stakes to it. But I wanted to see what you guys, what your feelings were on it, and see level of interest. If you want to see people get publicly shamed or not.
We got hell no. Never trim the beard.
Hashtag never trim a beard.
I can't imagine Dave without a beard. I would cheat to keep it. I agree. Matter of fact, I think the game should be actually gladiatorial combat. I will kill these motherfuckers to keep my beard.
But you will also be doing videos alone.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Oh, we have someone who would weep for the loser.
Yeah.
I might actually cry. Yeah. So it's up in there. Maybe we'll come up with something less severe, like neutering. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, less severe, like defacing a monument, or is it one of us trimming our beards is like defacing a monument?
Possibly.
Clarification, Kyle.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. So what else we got going on? Like I said, I guess I told you guys last week, and I'll just reiterate that we have plenty of gameplays in the pipeline for you guys coming, because we just have a stockpile of them now.
Yeah.
So for the next few weeks. And tonight we actually don't have a game going on, but we still have another game that Ted ran on the ship. We have a Gamma World game to go out. This weekend was the Tampa Bay fan game, which was a ton of fun. Those guys really did a great job.
I was watching back to the first part of the session.
Yeah,
I was like, man, this was a badass time. It's like remembering all over again how much fun it was. So, and then next week we have a gameplay happening, which I think is Ted's game.
Yeah, next week. Ted's game.
Yeah. So next weekend we have that coming up.
Yeah. So there's a constant flow of games and that are in the pipeline. Will keep you guys going for a little while at least.
Yeah. And speaking of games, so then there's going to be my fan game happening.
Oh yeah.
So I'm thinking for those that are on the list for it. That we're going to do the 18th around 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so we can work that out, whatever that is for you, if that's feasible. And
we have a list.
Yeah, we have a list. So the first 4 are actually in the game, and then we have the remainder are potential alternates. And then from there, if we can't fill the slots, we go to Patreon, and then Company of the Nag, and so on and so forth. So first we have Christopher Joseph, Arthur Chang, Brandon B., Jacob Campbell. So all 4 of you are actually in the game, and then alternates are going to be Randolph Rhodes, Martin A., and then there's a ... HILIN. I don't know what's called. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I will figure that out. I do have I have an email for that one, so we can work that out. There's a Michael Martino, a Mason's Hunsberger, Hugo Morales, and Ludwig Goldberg Rosen. Goldberg Rosen. So, but yeah, so those first 4 are the people that I will be contacting about being in the game, but I'll also include the alternates just so they have the information, people can RSVP.
Yeah, so the way it should work is hopefully tonight, Nerdarchy Ryan will send an email to all 10 people. If you're in the game, he will let you know. If you're an alternate, he'll let you know. The best thing to do, though, is to email him back.
RSVP.
Even if you're an alternate saying, yes, I would be available for this game.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times what happens is, of those 10 names, sometimes we don't get, there's been times where we get no one from that list.
Or 1 or 2. Yeah. I mean, it's weird, like coordinating schedules, and especially like globally, which sometimes happens is, it's a crazy thing, and it's just random chance. Like, I understand if people can't make it,
Yeah, and sometimes spam filters happen and weed people out and stuff like that. But yeah, so the best thing is like he'll send out all 10 emails, and then you guys can let him know who's available, who's not available, and then he'll start with those 4. Then he'll go to the alternates, and then if there's still slots to fill, we'll go to the patrons, and then if there's slots after that, we'll also go to the company of the Nag.
Yeah, I mean, like the crazy part is we've had a lot of success in getting players from the Patreon thing. Like, funny enough, the people that think we're worth like giving like even $1 a month to or whatever, like also end up making themselves available. So it's kind of this correlation.
Yeah, it's pretty rare that we have to go past that because generally you send out an email
and we get like 6 replies to that. Like, yeah, I'm into it. So yeah, it's really cool.
So yes, it's actually more than that, but
yeah.
And also, like the newsletter has been growing, guys, which is really cool. There's a couple thousand people now getting the newsletter. Which, if you want to know how to get in on the Nerdarchy games, because people have asked, it's by signing up for the newsletter. And like you're going to get like a 3-series email, and there's going to be like one of the things is going to be like telling you how to get into our secret Facebook group. One of the things is the Nerdarchy ringtone, and then one of the things is going to tell you how to sign up to participate in our random lottery games here.
Yeah, I'm curious how many people do use the Nerdarchy ringtone, because that'd be really funny if we were like at a con or something and just started going off. Yeah, that would be hysterical.
Yes. Also, any of you guys going to Gen Con? Like the tickets just went on sale like last weekend or something like that, I believe.
Well, I'm interested.
Yeah, so there's been internal debate at Nerdarchy whether or not we should go or not. I'm thinking we can't even get a room at this point, but I am curious.
Rent a van and sleep in it.
I am curious.
Live in a van down by the river.
Well, my other thought was, are you guys near Gen Con? How do you feel about a Nerdarchist camping out on your couch?
Invasion.
Yes. We'll descend like locusts.
Oh, we've got Excalibur's going to Gen Con. Arcania is going to Dragon Con.
Yes, some people, someone didn't know there was a ringtone. Yes, there is a ringtone, and you should have got, if you signed up for the newsletter, you should have got it. One of the problems is we use a bulk emailer, and a lot of times it kind of gets filtered out through spam. So if you do sign up for it, you do have to check, and you're going to have to occasionally go and whitelist it.
Yeah,
or check your like Gmail has a promotions folder; it'll end up there. And then also the spam folder. It's annoying, but unfortunately, it's the only way for us to, email all of yous, besides getting like our own private server, which isn't going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, we're not going to Clinton this shit up.
Yeah. But there's definitely some people that are going RPG Con in Texas. Texas is a little bit far away.
North Texas.
Texas, yeah.
Well, that's closer than South Texas.
That's true. Yeah, it's like marginally closer.
Is that actually a town, North Texas?
I don't know. Or it could just be a geographical location.
Ed, Kyle asks, where is Gen Con? I believe Gen Con is in Minneapolis, and I do not actually know how much it is to go. I think
it was like $100 or something like that.
I don't think
for the whole weekend.
Maybe I've like looked at the screenshot of it.
Okay, Dallas. That's where the RPG Con is. I'm actually really interested in hitting Austin again. Austin is a really cool town.
Yeah.
And also our friends at Nerdstock are over there.
We said we could hit that up. But so I was thinking it would be an interesting challenge to try to run games in all 50 states at some point.
So Excalibur LPS, I live in Indy, but fuck you guys, you're not sleeping on my couch. I believe paraphrasing a little bit.
Yeah, that's definitely paraphrasing. He said sadly he doesn't have room.
He doesn't have room. Come on, you can stack Nerdarchy like cords of wood.
Isn't that how dead bodies are stacked?
Oh, maybe. Excalibur, not $90 for the whole weekend. So it's not really.
It is like
it's not expensive to just go, but I'm sure it's going to cost way more than that once you get there.
Yeah.
I listen to some podcasts and they talk about going like every year and never actually going into the con, which is really weird. If it's only $90, I'm like, why would you? Why?
Well, I mean, you could go and hang out with folks around the whole thing.
Like, that's what they do. But at that point, if I went through the trouble to get there for an extra $90 to actually go in,
It depends what you're trying to make happen and what your goals are. Like, I guess.
I guess.
You know, like if you just set up on the side of the road and like if you're vending your board game or RPG on the side of the road, like just put some like like some banners on your car.
We can just pay someone to sit in Nerdarchy gear.
Kyle, let's keep me in the loop, guys. Nerdarchy road trip. It might happen. We are close enough that we could drive.
You
to
know
that
what we
one.
need?
Yeah, it's like a 10-hour drive.
Is like a giant like goblin mascot, like because it would be just like a big goblin head. Like we
giant,
do like a whole
giant foam heads.
Yeah, well, basically like the drawing, like we try to make the mascot version of it, and then Kyle can get in the suit.
Oh my god.
I mean, he's about the right build, I think, and height, like because like his like lean frame and then like the giant head, I think would be perfect.
I know, it sounds like we're gonna have to figure out a way to get the ringtone to people that haven't got the ringtone that want it.
Yeah.
That have signed up for the newsletter.
Huh. I wonder what that issue is. Like, it would have been like a downloadable link or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a SoundCloud file? Is that what it was?
I don't remember how it is now.
Yeah.
I set that page. I set it up a while ago.
Set it and forget it.
Oh,
That's
Kyle
it.
has offered to drive us. We just have to rent the vehicle.
A giant
like
giant
this.
mascot would be awesome. Woo, chauffeur.
Oh, okay, so he says it's Excalibur is saying downtown Indianapolis is great during the con. There's like stalls and cosplays,
All kinds of things going on.
So there's probably a
Yeah.
shit ton of things to
It's
do that
probably
are
like
being
there's
in
like a
the
con outside.
There's
of
a
the
conception happening.
Yeah, well, I actually envisioned it like tailgating at a football game or something like
just
that.
with nerdy stuff.
Yeah. So
The geeky version of that. Oh, so isn't it this weekend? Like, there's some like big sports event happening this weekend, right?
is it this weekend?
I think one of my coworkers was talking about this shit. I was like, oh, I guess that's happening.
I only know because I asked. I was like, is football season over yet? That thing didn't happen. Sports.
Yeah.
Sports question mark.
Yeah.
I don't. Are you sure it's this weekend? I haven't heard anything about like. Super
No,
Bowl
I
players
heard
or-
a couple of coworkers talking about
Yeah.
often there are other cubicles, like, and that's the only. I had no freaking awareness.
Now
about
Nate
this.
should cut in totally Steve Arwen style and be like, "Crikey, nerds and their natural habitat, discussing sports."
Who knew?
Who knew at all?
You'll notice the
guess
confusion and laughter on their faces.
I guess the Patriots are in it. It sounds like it's a
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
They're
Patriots
usually in it. Like usually you
and
can guess.
Falcons.
Yeah, like around the 90s, early 2000s, like Dallas Cowboys, I guess.
My wife is far more of a sports fan than I am, and we're kind of discussing this other guy. I'm like, Patriots again? They should just let someone else play. God damn it!
Yeah.
And how about that 8th place trophy?
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce his name. Sina Car or Shinakar? Well, it's Kickstarter for the West Coast trip. Take my freaking money. I like that. That was really fun.
But so far we've run games in PA, NJ, and Florida now, right?
Yes.
So we
only
need like 47 more to get the US.
And
I would go
say,
to. Was that
in international waters.
We can check off international waters.
Yeah.
Like we can check off the parts.
Another country.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Parts of the ocean.
But we
that
didn't play there. did we?
Yeah. So we could do. I would go to Puerto Rico and do that. Like,
Dude, how do we do one in a plane? I want to do a plane in Mile High Club, the nerd version.
I
The
don't
less
think that
fun
means what
version.
you think it means. Yeah, well, that you need like some private jet type of. Oh, you know what you could do? Some fucked up like dread game. Like, so the tower would be extra wobbly.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
like you could do zombies on a plane. Because I think didn't that happen in there was a zombie movie where there were zombies on the plane.
I'm sure zombies are
I'm sure at some point it had to happen.
Yeah.
Zombies in
You know what?
space,
I think it was one of the 48 what is it? The one with the fast zombies. Fast Zombies movies, remember?
Well, there was 28 days later, right?
28 days later, and then they kept moving what the thing was. Yeah. So there was one where like they were flying somewhere.
And then there was the one with Brad Pitt in it, and it was
World War Z.
Yeah,
that was World War Z.
that was they were on a plane at some point with them.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah.
Shit, I think it was that one actually. Now that I think of it.
Yeah, then the plane got blown up. and
Yeah.
stuff. Or they got blown out of it.
So I hear the book is like substantially different from the movie.
Probably better. I enjoyed it. I went and saw it with my buddy Larry. Like some of you guys may have seen, we did some videos in his kung fu studio because you guys commented on the mahjong that was behind us when we were doing it. But yeah, he wasn't that impressed with it. I liked it.
Yeah.
My opinion is also pretty horrible to go off when it comes to movies and shows because like I'm easily entertained.
He's got garbage taste in movie and TV. So 28 Days Later, though, fucking love that movie. So good. So good.
So Albert Ramirez, Bail Bonds, what do you guys think of Tales of the Yawning Portal? He's asked about that a bunch of times already in the chat. He really wants us to chime in on that one. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he trashed it up there somewheres. Waste of time. You know, here's the thing with that. Like, so you have to remember that there's a bunch of gamers that are coming to the hobby for the first time, and 5th edition is their first edition. So every one of those adventures is going to be new to them. And then there's just some GMs that don't want to update it themselves. Granted, I feel like AD&D is like the easiest to convert to 5th edition, but there's just going to be some GMs that want to run modules and they don't want to do the work themselves. So, you know, it's going to be there. It's interesting. I hope they do more within the module on the location of the Yawning Portal. That would be cool.
And if Tomes of Horror is as horrible as it's supposed to be, or worse, you need to break new players in on that sometime.
I heard the rumor that it is going to be, that it's supposed to be worse.
Yeah, that's quite the challenge.
Yeah, than the original, which that is a challenge, considering 5th edition isn't really nearly as lethal as AD&D. It's like, now it's like, you know, roll twice and die. Where before it was like, save or die.
Yeah, save or die, yeah.
Unless they bring some of that back. I don't know. Question.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of very much, we'll cover your question, but like Stanley had that quote about Marvel comic books that like every Marvel comic book was somebody's first. Like every edition of D&D is kind of like somebody's first all the time too. So updating stuff for new players, and if it's still commercially viable for Wizards of the Coast, like it just makes sense to do it.
No, Albert, I'm more like an idiot savant that every once in a while inspiration strikes me. It's not a high wisdom. Henry Hill, question. Can you change archetypes in the same class without losing their archetypes they had? That would be really weird. And I guess part of the problem is, like, at various levels, there's ribbon abilities, right? And they're not always the same levels. So it's like, could you cherry pick? I haven't looked close enough to know.
Well, that's the thing. Like some of the way that some of the balance of the classes are constructed, like some of the features are front loaded to be powerful on the front, and then what you look at is on the back end of the archetype, you have weaker abilities because you get something really kick-ass up front. And then conversely, some things are backloaded where, all right, you're like the Chaos Sorcerer, for an instance, right? Its early abilities are kind of middling. Well, I mean, like triggering chaos effects, like could be awesome, could be horrible. It's just amusing, right? Is really what it comes down to. But then on the back end, they get some more and more interesting things going for themselves. And the other thing with the Transmuter, they get some really I think cool abilities in the front end, but their back end abilities I think are weak or something like that.
Yeah, so to me it's almost like you just have to switch or not switch.
Yeah.
If that's what you want to do. But then again, if it's your game, if your DM says okay, fuck it, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, you could do if your GM allowed it, like you could have double archetype abilities. It's all. I mean, I think
Gestalt game or something.
Yeah, Gestalt. But it does, like the balance of this game is kind of fine. Like giving somebody a +3 weapon is a friggin' big deal. Like it's a substantive thing. So you're very much altering it. So I wouldn't want to throw a lot of abilities onto player characters. I think by and large the balance is just fine. They kind of have to tweak the challenge rating system, which is starting to happen, that now like a CR 6 or 7 is becoming a more significant threat, because I think in the monster manual they kind of like underplayed some of those things, and so they have to make these things a little more threatening.
It's very much art more than science.
Yeah.
I usually throw like deadly encounters out all the time,
Yeah.
and the players generally don't have that much of trouble with it. Zach Maples, how would you do a smart barbarian? Put a high score in their intelligence stat?
Yeah.
Step 1. Now, see, here's the thing, right? Just because they're a barbarian doesn't mean they can't be intelligent. There's a huge difference between education and actual IQ. Mm-hmm. You know, one is one's ability to learn and process information, and the other is just how much information you've been exposed to.
Right.
So someone can be self-taught and know a lot of things, and they may be really good at problem solving as well, where someone who has a vast education may not be able to come up with an original thought in their own head ever. So it's kind of, they're not exclusive to each other. So it would just be a matter of they would know different things. Like they might know a lot of lore about the region they're from. They may have really sucked in a lot of the oral tradition, and they might just be good at solving problems. ones.
Yeah. I mean, but if you are using the standard array, that 8 has to go somewhere. It's either in charisma or intelligence usually. So.
Well, you can do wisdom. I mean, you can be really intelligent and not particularly wise.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that, so you kind of do rash things.
Well, from fiction, and then someone else has pointed out on the channel as well. If you look at like one of our favorite characters, Harry Dresden, he really says shit when he should just shut up a lot of times.
Yeah.
And and he's very smart, and I think that like his wisdom might be a little bit lower than his intelligence by a bit.
Yeah, that's true.
He
But
has some kind of flaw.
and also too, though, like a lot of times characters from fiction, like they don't really have a dump stat, like when you really think about it, because like they're meant to be like this overwhelming hero, like, and the author has complete control over every single thing that happens to them.
Well, yeah, they tend to be heroic, so I would say that there's a good chance that they've got higher than average.
Their low stat is like a +1 modifier or +0.
Yeah. Someone asked what edition we started with. That's really easy. I started with first edition. These guys started with second edition. Same for Ted as well. Someone asked, so what do you think about a Warforged cleric? It's an awesome combination. Ted had played one in my Eberron game way back when, and I attacked him with rust monsters for the audacity.
Yeah, that is the ultimate threat to a Warforged.
And as far as role playing one, I mean, it depends on if you want to go like deity more like with a cleric, if it's going to be more of like a, maybe he's fascinated with the natural world and maybe obsessed with it, so he picks some kind of like nature or like mortal kind of deity, maybe of the elves or something like that, or he's going to go full on like
of the forge,
and crafting, or something like if there's a god that modrons or whatever they're called,
or he worships what's his face? I can't think of the bad guy, the Warforged.
Oh, the Emperor, Lord of Blades.
Lord of Blades. Yeah.
He was pretty badass.
And he's got a cool AT-AT city that he drives around, which is badass. Yeah. Mark Gable question. So this is really isn't a game question, more of a social question. But how do you deal with a party where you are coming in as an outsider, i.e., click players, or the DM that always just says no? So that's tough because that's really, you're talking about navigating a social scenario. And you're going to have to make friends, really.
I would interact with the same way that my characters would. I draw, steal, and roll initiative.
Well, I guess that's one way of doing it.
I'd say it helps. It would help if you were going to meet them or hang out with some of them in a non-gaming setting ahead of time, so you kind of know some of the people you're getting in to play with.
Maybe find some interest that like isn't game related, where you cross over and kind of talk about that, and then like you kind of. Like every social group kind of like makes its own social group, but a lot of times what you start to discover is once you make a little bit of an effort to get into knowing people, like the boundaries between the social group aren't as dense or as thick as you think they were. You just kind of created this in your own head. So like just find ways to bullshit and talk to people and
bribe them with snacks.
Yeah, like I don't know, like if there's a superhero movie or something other geek culture related, like, hey guys, want to go check out this thing or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just observing the dynamic and trying to fit in. Really, is what it comes down to. Like any other social situation, and like I think what Nate said is really good too, and also what Ryan says is trying to build a relationship outside of the game, because then once you get inside the game, it's going to be so much easier.
Yeah. Although so the DM that always says no. That's hard because part of being the DM, like the allure of it, like some people, the authority is really what draws them to it.
Eric Cartman, basically, is that what we're going to say?
With the wizard staff and
So unfortunately, like that dungeon master is the most difficult because it's almost like the demigodhood that they get from being at the table. I would say maybe run a one shot or two where you just run an out and out better game that everybody talks about, and like they realize that the players enjoyed this game so much more, where the players got to have agency and do things rather than always being shot down. So maybe volunteer to run a session or two of the game that you'd rather play.
Lead by example. Really, that's all you can do, and sometimes they'll get it and sometimes they won't. There's unfortunately not a whole lot you can do about it. We said it before, I'll say it again. You can't make anybody do anything they don't want to, unfortunately.
I mean, maybe with violence, but they're going to resent it.
And we have a large library of GM tips and also GM 911s to go through. So.
Yeah, like there's been so many times where we've handled like the social issue question.
Yeah. So, and the other thing, like, the best way to deal with the no DM too is to have a conversation with them out of the game, not while the game is running and disrupting it, and not in front of the other players where it's just you and them talking. Where you can be like, where you can just ask, like, well, why do you do it this way, or why do you do it that way? And if you can come at them in a way where it's not judgmental, and whether you do or not, lead them to believe that you're really genuinely really curious about, you know, how they do things and why.
Yeah, like I'm just curious.
Stroke their ego a little bit.
I'm just curious, like, what led you to make this rules call? Like, why? What was that's like stretching the framework of your game?
No, Kitty, that's my Rick. From the
Yeah.
Someone else, you know, they wanted to know if there's any like New Jersey idiosyncrasies for gaming. I don't know. I haven't really gamed that many other places. I don't know if you guys are doing it wrong or not. Shane Clark.
Wawa runs. That's it.
Yes, absolutely. Wawa runs.
It's a bit of a regionalism that's kind of spreading slowly. Blah. It's actually hella in Florida now, like, well, at least around the Tampa area. So it started spreading around there because all the northeastern transplants moved down to Jersey or down to Tampa to retire. So while I was like, I guess we'll just put shit and we'll
follow them
in Florida, and then they're probably going to just spread up the eastern corridor from two
sides.
There's
a desert. There's a Wawa desert in between a
yeah.
section of the others. I think it stops somewhere in Florida or something, and it goes for a while.
Shane Carr. All my goblins have New Jersey accents. I don't even know what a New Jersey accent sounds like.
Yeah, that basically sounds like the way Nicole and Anthony play.
Yeah, they're all going to be juggalos now.
Yeah, basically.
What have they done?
They have gatherings. And, yeah, the downfall of goblin civilization.
Zach Maples, thanks guys. Off to make my gnome barbarian wielding a great wrench. Almost misread it as great wench, but no, great wrench.
Yes,
completely different.
Slightly different.
So Sandman29331, what do we love about 5e? I love the bounded accuracy. I did not like the just infinite pluses.
Don't even like that game at all.
Yeah, no, I've been faking it for so long. Fake geek.
Yeah, so I like the bounded accuracy, and what that means is there's
the range is shortened.
Yeah, the range is shortened. It doesn't really. It's not pluses. Just aren't encouraged to tack onto something when you say I'd like to make this a little better. Just add more pluses, which is what I felt like 3.5 did. So that's what I really like is the hedging in of the actual pluses and minuses. So, yeah, and the mechanic.
Are you telling me you don't miss the DC 80 chance to swim up a waterfall?
No, I don't miss the 40 armor classes because you wanted to make it a challenge for your warrior to hit something. You know, none of that stuff.
Yeah, so, it was like playing cops and robbers with like bonuses. Like, oh, well, your players have a plus 16. Well, obviously this monster needs a plus 28 now. So they've shortened the range of the math, but they've added just interesting capabilities and dynamics as far as how things are going to function to kind of play into that same thing. But yeah, because that's also my favorite part of the mechanics.
So I'm going to actually say something different. I actually like the way how everything's compartmentalized, and by that I mean like you have your race, and that and each of these compartments have their own like choices that you make. So you take a race, and then you might have a sub race to choose. You have a background, and there's some choices you can make inside of that background. You actually have your class, and you're going to pick an archetype or for the class as well. So there's all these little interchangeable blocks, which makes for a lot of different choices. You can make a lot of different scenarios. And the great part about the way this works, even the feature as well, and the stat improvements is what are you doing, Nate?
I'm just keep going.
You're making me nervous. But the way you can fit them together to make all kinds of different things happen. Oh no, Voltron, form blazing sword.
Someone asked if Voltron was behind me. So to bring it out.
What's he doing? He's freaking me out.
Decide for yourself, and then
he's clearly not behind you anymore, though. But like, it also creates a lot of room in 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons to create and add new things without power creep.
Yeah,
because you can just have different choices. That's what I like.
Well, way to go and be different. Yeah, you're banished.
Get out.
Banished.
Well, we know what Dave's going to say to this question. Albert Ramirez Bailbonds. Is it evil for clerics to animate dead in 5th edition? So I'd say probably. Most likely it's taboo to mess with the dead. in pretty much, if you generally take a base culture, most cultures are like, hey, don't mess with dead people.
Well, also too, if you read the spell, I think it says like perversion of life or something like it's very in the verbiage.
I don't know about that.
Way,
I'm just saying,
the way it's written up in the animated dead spell, like it's very much like this is an evil spell. Like we're saying in the body of the text. Now, if you decide in your own world that animating dead just works differently and it's not dealing with like trapping the soul or whatever, that becomes non-evil. And also it's the viewpoint, like maybe you're making a more of a Michael Moorcock sort of world where things are a lot more gray, then maybe that's not so evil. Maybe it's in neutral territory.
And my question too is like, why isn't it just an animate object on dead people then?
Yeah.
If there's really no difference,
I think that's how my necromancer is going to sell it.
Oh yeah.
I'm just magically animating things. Look, I can move this chair and I can move this dead person.
Yeah. But not so much later can I move the chair.
Yeah, that's true.
But the dead person already kind of has joints, so that might be it. Yeah, really, it comes down to what is your definition of necromancy magic? How does it work? Are you capturing a portion of that person's soul to reanimate the dead body? If you are, yes, that is fucking evil.
Yeah.
If it literally is just it's just a corpse and it has animating it is merely like animate object, then it's not. But people really don't like you playing with their dead relatives. They consider it rude.
That's why they should all wear masks.
The relatives or the dead people?
The dead people you raise. They should all have uniforms that they wear.
There's that really great
It makes
meme.
it less creepy. Like zombies wearing,
Yeah. There's that great meme about the necromancy. The necromancer just trying to raise a family. Yeah.
So someone wanted to know if there's any cool dwarf sub races other than Mountain Hill and Dugar that we have any ideas for. Well, you did forget Darrow, which is another like perversion of the dwarven race.
Well, is that spelled out anywhere? Is it No Herd of Dragon Queen? Like as far as like a player version?
Out of the Abyss, but not a player. I don't think it's a player version though.
Yeah.
Which they're slightly different. They're like insane magic dwarves.
Yeah.
That so is there any other dwarves? I don't know. Like I would feel like it would be more like you would do things like regional things, like maybe desert dwarves or jungle dwarves, stuff like that, or seafaring dwarves.
There's definitely Thasian dwarves are a thing, but I mean, the Thasian races are just going to be completely different.
Because it's a different world.
Yeah.
So off the top of my head, like so in one of our very very early campaigns that we played, it was an evil campaign, and I had a dwarf that worshipped chaos as a thing, and he was convinced that there was chaos dwarves somewhere, and they kind of entered the world through his insanity, I think, more than anything.
He willed them to be.
Yeah, so it's always going to be just like kind of like reflavoring things like that. Maybe like a Feywild dwarf or something like that might be kind of cool.
Yeah, because I think there was like a gold dwarf subrace in Forgotten Realms and things like that.
I think in Forgotten Realms though, they just like kind of renamed some of the ones that are already there.
Yeah.
So a question from James Carden. I'm looking for a home run local D&D group, but searches online result 90%. Store run Adventure League results. Any suggestions?
Actually, I believe Alan Bingham, he's been in a bunch of our games and we interact with him a lot on social media, is said basically he runs games at a store and then he cherry picks them for home groups.
I was just going to
I was also going to suggest.
I don't want to say poach people from Adventure League, but sometimes people don't get enough play.
Well, I mean,
so they want to play more.
But here's the thing, right? Like, I feel like Adventure League exists to facilitate new players learning the game, and B, it's a place to find people of similar interests that it's like speed dating to like find the people that you click with of like, hey, what if we ran a game that didn't compete on the same night of Adventure League? Anybody who wanted to still go to Adventure League can go there, but on this night, let's have a home session because like that you get along with this group of people. So like, yeah, basically you're going to these Adventure League sessions to kind of like scout out people that you like enough that want to eventually form your own group with. That'd be, I think,
there's nothing. There's absolutely
I don't think there's anything horrible. It's not like you're poaching players from somebody else's home game. So I think that's completely unethical. But in a public place, yeah. Well, no, I've heard anecdotes of like, wait, we had that GM 901 where basically somebody did that.
I said don't poach people.
Yeah.
Oh, shame.
I say poach away, just not from people's house.
Yeah.
That's rude.
Yeah.
We'll get you fucking killed in our state. Oh, maybe that's a New Jersey
difference.
thing. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that is the
Soprano
difference.
state.
Yeah.
The baseball comes out, we break kneecaps.
You get whacked. You get cement shoes.
I don't know if there's a. He's asking about, is there another way like to be cherry picked while he's playing in Adventure League?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, aside from hanging
friends.
a sign around his neck saying "looking for group," well, a shirt that said "looking for group" would probably be a good icebreaker.
Yeah, right.
And then you'd be like, "It's a nerd shirt."
Well,
and by the way,
if you're into that webcomic, especially.
yeah, the webcomic as well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of like, so the same thing happened with Pathfinder Society when I was living in Albuquerque. So I was there hanging out, and basically a dude went there to find people to start a home game with, and like we ended up doing that thing essentially exactly. So that's how it all came about, was we were just hanging out. So it just might take time. Like you go once a month or whatever is manageable for you, and kind of get to know people and go from there.
I'm just catching up on some. Someone had mentioned Matt Click's game, his Provokers game, where he had introduced the Thunder Dwarves, and I had seen them, and I had seen when they were actually in the Dwarven hold. I had caught some of those episodes, but I don't know if there's any real difference, or if it's just cultural stuff.
Yeah, because culture is just like, it's just writing.
Like they had a game or something where they would throw thunderbolts at each other.
It was pretty cool.
Which is cool. But yeah, I mean, they're not Thunder Dwarves are not as cool as Thunder Cats, but yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so like I said, I don't know if he statted them out differently or not, or if it was just like cultural stuff. And that's what I feel like a lot of times you're going to do anyway. Don't do it, Ranger Roy. It's a trap. It's going to work.
Or you could be like Kyle S. and not watch while you're at work.
Yeah.
It's totally not happening.
As long as you share with the patrons of the store where you're at.
Yeah, just project us on a TV. And then we'll be dropping F-bombs and be like children around. Like, what did the bad men say? Tommy, what did the bad man say?
Let's see. Disagreement doesn't always need to result in violence or even hatred.
Yeah, that comes from a question. How can I interact with another player's character who is in complete opposite of mine in regards to morals/goals without causing a party conflict, which is Ryan Evans' question. And they're answering some of the
Well, he summed it up pretty nicely. Like you can disagree with someone. Like Scott Garrity is a perfect example. He is the antithesis of kind of like
regarding gaming. We probably disagree with like 60% of like his ideas of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, yeah.
40,
Even some of his
40.
life views and political views.
Yeah.
But because of the kind of person Scott is, we can have discussions and we can talk about stuff. We can agree to disagree, and he's very open to hearing what other people have to say. So yes, these can happen. It doesn't require a certain level of maturity. Yes, absolutely, from all parties involved, and you have to be open-minded. But that being said, so it doesn't have to end in violence. It doesn't have to end in hatred, and you can have those opposing views in the game, and it can make for interesting role play, as long as it's handled maturely. That's what I would say to that.
I would agree.
Or do what Adam says: deceive them into making decisions to follow your morals.
What's that?
Find a reason why they should follow what you want to do.
He said deceive them into making decisions that follows your morals.
That's fantastic. I love that idea. Like being a manipulator, like a cleric of thievery or some other like mischievous sort of thing. Yeah.
So someone said that the Thunder stats have slightly different stats.
Thunder Dwarves. Yeah.
Or Thunder Dwarves. I don't even know what I said now.
Thunder stats.
Yeah, the dwarves have different stats or whatever. So I would rather like change things like like the benefits they get to fit different cultures,
like their weapon selection or something like that. Like maybe instead of axes, maybe it's a culture that wields like falchions and scimitars or whatever.
Exactly. The jungle dwarves example, like they might have access to blowguns, no matter what they are, and hand axes or something, whatever. Or they might instead of being skilled craftsmen, they may all have athletics because they move throughout the trees and the foliage and stuff like that. There's tons of different ways.
Or foliage. That's like the same thing you could make like arboreal elves that like maybe for intents and purposes of climbing they're considered to have advantage to those roles or something.
Or climb speed.
Dawn Forecast poked their heads in. Nerds inside on a beautiful day. All is right in the world. Happy gaming, boys. Thanks, Andrew.
Hey, thanks
for popping in.
Thanks.
And also, it's New Jersey in February, so it's not really that great out.
Yeah.
I don't know. The sun might be out.
Yeah. It's a little chilly, but that's good.
Yeah, I was jealous of the weather in Florida. Like, I'm kind of meh about the cold. Like, so it was fantastic to be like have weather that was like in the 60s, almost going into the 70s. Like,
See, I actually like it when it's cold out because I'm always fucking hot. I'm gonna spontaneously combust one day.
Jonas Green is interested in learning. My players never seem to want to be good. How can I encourage good act in a party that wants to be evil?
Carrots and sticks.
I would search on our YouTube. We've got a lot of things about trying to get your players to do something they might not necessarily want to do, and which is kind of
or how to run the game that they want to play.
Or running the game they want to play. But in general, usually the reason how we stop people from doing bad things in real life is we have consequences that they don't like. So aside from the certain things, like some people are just going to break the law and it's going to happen, but there's plenty of people that don't break the law because they don't want to get punished for breaking the law. So you have your guys murder hoboing a little bit too hard. Well, some local constabulary or something sheriff comes into town saying, "Hey, I heard there's some bad stuff going on. Point me at the bad guys," and they're going to be hunting for you like a good party would hunt for some kind of bad villain guy.
Some kind of monster.
Yeah,
your player essentially became.
So you become the NPCs for these other characters.
The villains of you paint your players into the villains of your campaign, and the heroes are now the NPCs that you're running against them.
Or it might curb their bad behavior, and they might say, "Oh, well, I don't like the negative consequences. So I'm going to change." But again, lots of videos about that.
Tons of hours, days.
Yeah, and the key is to do it without being punitive. Like it's just the organic consequences of acting like that in a place. So and they might get away with it for a while too, like especially if they're in like group towns.
Yeah, if it wasn't for those meddling kids.
Yeah, that's exactly. Have Scooby-Doo come in and put them down. At Nerdarchy, are there any story or mechanical ideas that you have been mulling over, wanting to implement, but haven't been able to get around? I laugh because people will often ask us about the different things we talk about, and our catalog is over 1,500 videos, and there's a lot of stuff where we just riff ideas out for in the game and stuff. At this point, I want to say
synthesized a lot of it into our actual campaign world. We don't even have a consistent map of our world. Like that's the best part about it.
At this point, you guys have used more of our ideas in your games than we have. Yeah. So, with just me and Ted running games once a month, and sometimes things go in, and then I guess like there's this part of me that goes, well, I already talked about this, and the other guys already know about it. So
it's not a surprise at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, it would be to see, like, because we're just riffing ideas, so it isn't the synthesized version of it, but it's kind of our thing, like, it's kind of spoiling what it is to the other players. That being said, like, I would love to run a game. We have this one city called Fausthaven, where it's, like, basically a region of the lower plains is below the city, and it's kind of, like, under demonic influence, or devilish influence. And I would love to run a campaign sort of centric in there that's kind of like urban, kind of gritty, little horror supernatural thing going on. But I'm waiting for like the docket of DMs to thin down. So like maybe when these two game campaigns wrap up, we can organize another game.
Also, that like I think that's like the place in our world too that's kind of like a little bit steampunky as well. Is that what we kind of like?
There's Tyranids by there, right?
They're going to be. There's no consistent map.
In my mind, they're very close together. They're like this.
Yeah. So one of these days, and that is like on our docket of videos to do of like making a mapping happen that we can just kind of organize some of the. We've discussed regions; they've come up, but we need to like solidify because I would be happy to draw the map of our world as it currently exists. We
also had someone that offered to draw the map.
Yes.
We just haven't sat down. Like maybe we need to do a hangout, kind of like this one where we just talk about mapping and stuff and start like putting pen to paper.
Yeah. Well, no, like we have all these things that we could bullet point all these out and like talk about it. And then like I could go back and do the video, and then we could integrate the video of where things are getting laid down as we discuss it. So we can plot point it here on the table, and then I could go back and work in Photoshop and start to get that going.
Just pay an intern to do it.
That's what apprentices are for. You get them enough skills so they can do that.
Which is funny because I was just thinking, I was like, huh, Kyle says he wants to be an intern. We'll fix him. Here, just compile all of our videos where we talk about world building for us.
And places and locations.
Yeah, and then we'll place them on a piece of paper somewhere. So.
Yeah, like the place with the death pit, like for a fan game, I had that in there and I named it Polgast Remkar. So it has a name now. So
it's just someplace.
So it's someplace. Oh no, blazing sword.
No,
put it back further.
So and also as far as I don't think we've created a lot of mechanical stuff that we've been using in our games yet. Again, part of the thing too is goes back to we have 2 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons games that are long running, like over 2 years now.
Yeah,
and we're playing with the same characters, so we actually haven't really had the opportunity to implement a lot of the ideas that we've come up with because they don't fit to the characters that we're already playing. So maybe on the next time around.
When Scott was playing his game, I played a bard Psionicist dwarf. So
yeah,
and that the Psionicist was something I created off of a sorcerer template. And I just recently did for the Patreon level for Lost Lord this upcoming for February's Patreon release is a Blood Mage, which is a sorceress.
Yeah, so you guys that are our patrons right now, any day now, you're going to get this sorcerer origin of Blood Mage. Yeah. Any day now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the idea is like we have an autoresponder when people sign up. And so I think I said it to like, if you don't get it by the 10th of the month, like it specifically says like, yeah, if you don't have it by this time, like holler at us, ping us, we can make sure we email it to you. So that, to make sure that we do fulfill that. But yeah, that's like this afternoon, I'll be finishing the design on it and I have to do that again tomorrow.
Yeah. I imagine like early, the Patreon stuff is actually going to go out early next week.
Yeah.
So I was doing it, but now Ted is handling it. So once all the information gets distilled down to Ted, and then from Ted, he'll send out the links to everybody to get their stuff.
And actually, I did send you that link that there's a way to do it through Patreon through the various levels. We have to talk about that. But
and logistically, the Patreon money was still coming in or whatever, like yesterday or today, right? So
that's weird.
So it's weird. We don't necessarily know when everyone's paid. Like on the first, we're not going to know.
So apparently it's nice in Hawaii right now.
Yeah, I bet.
Screw you, buddy. Screw you.
I'm glad you're enjoying Hawaii.
He's like beachside drinking a Mai Tai.
Out of a coconut.
Yeah, out of a coconut. Like watching us like this kind of.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, the Cabana boy is holding up the screen for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a Cabana girl.
Whatever. Yeah. Cabana, however you want a cabana. Cabana person. Someone like just rained on them. They're like, nice, but there's a typhoon coming in this weekend.
Oh no! Burn, nature burn.
But that is true. Like in New Jersey, we don't get any like crazy weather phenomena. Pretty much, it's really rare that we get a hurricane or a tornado.
There's the occasional blizzard. Yeah.
Well, even that, compared to places that really get blizzards, it's not that bad. You know, we don't get earthquakes. So yeah.
Yeah, you trade.
Nature doesn't try and kill you in New Jersey too much.
You take the good, you take the bad.
Just cars.
Facts of life.
Yeah.
Mechanical. It's all steampunk dangers.
People is our number one chief concern.
Chiefest of calamities.
Yes.
So we've been yammering on for a long time. We should probably give something away.
Oh yeah, we're supposed to do that still.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys seen the stuff that we held up. We can hold it up again. It's behind Nerdarchy.
Yeah, I think the other thing is like a Coliseum. I don't know. There may not have been like a faceplate like this first one has.
All right, so we got the Ark Knight flat packs. There's 2 of them, and our winner is Adam, who has no last name. And I believe from what Ted had told me when he selected, that was actually how it was worded.
Yes.
We have an email. If Adam with no last name is not on here and you're not hearing your name called, then we are going to send you an email, and then from there you can get us your information. And I guess on this one there isn't anything to sign.
Well, I mean, I guess maybe the back of the faceplate thing. Of
what's the faceplate?
Well, yeah, like there might be like it might have a.
They got cool plastic floor things.
Yeah, it's like a white.
Oh yeah.
There's a white back, so we could sign that, or we could maybe sign the play. I would probably just sign this somewhere. Like
pull that out. I was like, I don't know. This is gonna be hard for us to sign. We sign really big.
We can sign small.
It's basically the other shit that they sell. We'll sign all over that. But no, thank you, Ark Knight people. Your stuff's really cool. They have spell templates, these cool
I actually
these backpacks,
and these folders are pretty sweet too. You could like store art in them.
And they also have the plastic painted minis, which I really love. They have a front and back, and they're clear,
transparent.
Yeah, so they're pretty cool. So Adam, hopefully you'll be getting that soon. When we email you, just let us know if you want us to face the inside page or not, and we will get that out to you this week. So that's kind of cool.
Oh, Matt O'Connor, thanks for just pledging to Patreon. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. That's fantastic. Thanks so much. Like, yeah, even like people might think just even $1 isn't that valuable, but I mean, in context of what ads ads on YouTube, like because so many people watch, like it kind of matters. But in the grand scheme of thing of like an individual, like giving $1 per month is actually really substantial in the grand scheme of things.
Right? So, yeah. Like there's I don't know how many subscribers we have anymore. A bunch. 28,000. There, so I'm looking at like over 28,000. Like it. I would much rather have everybody just give $1 than have to worry about
than running ads. But I mean, so
that it goes full time.
Yeah. So that's really cool, and thank you for that.
Yes, we appreciate all of our patrons. We had an influx of a bunch of you guys. So thank you to all you guys.
Throughout January and I think late December, so that was really sweet.
And also we've also had some more sales over at the Nerdarchy store where you can get like the shirts that we wear. There's some other shirts that we don't wear as much, but they're over there as well. If you want your Nerdarchy boy shorts or thong, you can get that as well.
There we go.
I know, shirt inception.
Yeah, shirtception, double Nerdarchy. Well, so I would also say it's probably been helping. With that support Nerdarchy pin post, like people know exactly where stores, because sometimes people might be new and maybe they want a shirt, but they wouldn't have known that they even exist.
I've been trying to use the cards feature more too. So like in there's a link to the store, there's a link to the website, there's a link to another video we've done and stuff like that to try and kind of corral you guys into more Nerdarchy till our cult is complete. Yeah. We've got them completely brainwashed.
It comes with a fez and some tentacles. You might feel a mild tickling.
Yeah. This will pinch just a little. So their eyes are spinning the Nerdarchy logo in.
Yeah.
But no, without you guys, we couldn't do this. It's a blast. We love when we get out there and we are able to meet people like we did in Tampa. That was really cool when we had we actually learned that we could have had a really cool place to run the game, but we weren't sure when we did it, so we had to kind of like guess, and everything's like last minute throwing it together. So we literally rented a room in the hotel and then went out and bought a bunch of like gourmet pizzas to feed the guys. But what we found out later is we could have went to Armada Games and they actually have like a podcast room set up, and one of our concerns was like if we went to a game store, would it be too noisy or whatever?
Ambient noise, yeah.
But if we go back to Tampa, we know we have a place where we can set up and run some games and record them. Because, it's part of what we do, and we know you guys like to watch the games. So if we're going to run a game, we might as well have the camera running.
Yeah, roll dice, roll camera, as Gary Vee says. Although I don't really think, like, not everybody wants to be a public figure. So I think it's kind of absurd to think that everybody needs to record the game, only if you want to, really.
Scott Gary's an absurd figure.
Going back to things I don't necessarily agree with. Yeah.
Well, I would say, even if you're just going to record it for, like, just to, like, look through your game, because it's hard to kind of see yourself as the DM or a player during the game, but it's easy, like, looking back on some of my games and like, oh, yeah, I probably would have said this differently, or, it's kind of, you can kind of, it's like
review tape, like the thing that like in football plays or some shit like that.
Yeah, playing it back, reviewing it, saying, "Oh, I would have done it differently." Or
Matt O'Connor said he's like an hour from NJ, which doesn't really mean a whole lot because it depends on which end.
Yeah,
because that could be like an hour from NJ and then another. If we were in Cape May, that would be like another 3 hours. Yeah. But we're in South Jersey, so if you're actually
the closer to Philadelphia you are, like that's where.
And that's where we're all originally from as well. You ever live anywhere else?
Nope.
No.
Just Jersey.
So we're all originally from Jersey, and that's another thing. We do want to do more live stuff where we get together with people. I mean, we've done a couple of things. We did like Geek Fest. We're like, hey, if you guys are going to be around here, and we ended up with was it 2 or 3 of the fans that came back to Ted's place? 3?
It was 2. Yeah.
Kyle, Kevin.
I think it was just Kyle and Kevin. Or was it Keith? Was it Keith or Kevin? Because it was a K, right?
It was.
Yeah.
But I think it was a Kevin. I almost want to say there was a third person as well.
I think we
have a video. We haven't recorded it.
We met up with Scott. We met up with Scott.
Yes.
And one other person we ended up running into. But
a few people,
but we only abducted 2. I mean, two people came of their own volition. I mean, maybe
to Ted's
basement.
And they may still be here.
Yeah, they might still
or
be
not.
here.
But no, so whenever we get together, you guys, obviously, we try and run a game. And in both instances, there was no material prepared. Like, okay, we're all here. We're going to throw some funny shaped dice.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
And even if there weren't time for a D&D game, like maybe it'd be like a board game or something, like, we could bring other games or something. We definitely want to do something cool for our upcoming 3rd year anniversary for May the 4th, trying to figure out something like that. And like, I don't know, like, could we have the, we were talking about the nerd picnic at some point, or Nerdarchy, like a nerd barbecue would be really awesome to
I've also been trying to buzz in Brian's ear about, this is way in the future, about when Eye of the Beholder is done, a Nerdarchy screening. That would be a lot of fun. He seemed interested, but he's like, oh my God, don't put any pressure on me to fit in.
No, because, he's got some time away. But for ourselves too, like, it'd be cool to cultivate more of a local following, because I know that there's people far flung across the country, and if you're in California or Florida, it's hard to do something. So we kind of have to spread our reach sort of more regionally too. We need to be able to create layer effects based on the number of nerd archists.
Based on radius, number of nerd archists and radius.
Yeah, Matt, if you're 30 minutes from Philly, you're probably right around an hour from us total. So it's not too bad.
More or less.
Your beard is your casting focus. They're building a warlock pack of
the nerd archists. Well, I mean, like, I've often made the joke that like funding Patreon is like forming a pact. Unlimited power.
Beard of binding.
Beardomancer.
That's it.
That's
it's
right.
Gonna be
Beardomancer.
It's going to be a maybe like we need to do an April Fool's where we do a bunch of like
that would be really fun.
archetype spells and things like that based off of a Nerdarchy.
Yeah, it would be like the unglued version of D&D, essentially.
Yeah. Like, we could totally do that for April Fool's.
Oh, that would be great.
So, but we couldn't do that in our normal Patreon reward, so we probably put it in there. I don't know if you guys, our patrons, would be interested in getting a bunch of like jokey stuff.
Yeah, we could kind of see if people would hate it or not.
Before we do it,
because we value your continued support. So
we do that, and next thing you know, the Patreon goes
this
from
is
$120 to 0.
To then like we owe Patreon money. Actually, it's like negative. Like, you have to pay us to be on this site anymore. You guys with your dipshit maneuver.
Oh yeah. Oh, that would be nice. Star Wars game May 4th. Bring back Chevin. I love playing that character. Yeah, it was tough because Scott, when Scott set that game up, and he really just should have said, I want a Jedi game.
Yeah.
Because that's clearly what he wanted, and we went like in a different direction. He's like, play whatever you want. But what I meant was play Jedi.
Well, because he probably thought in his mind no one would ever pick not a Jedi.
He was going to not be a Jedi. And both me and Bart like put a monkey wrench right in there.
As Noah Antweiler says, all Jedi or no Jedi, right?
Yeah,
that's kind of how it is. But that being said, like, it's a really interesting, like, even with the new film and the baseline of the Star Wars movie, like, it creates interesting dynamics. I don't, especially like something that has more of a sci-fi fantasy feel to it. Splitting the party, like, you as a player, it sucks because you're not going to get as much playtime, but it's a cool story element, like shit happens and not everybody's there to deal with the same stuff all the time.
Yeah, Matt, my first idea was to actually play a droid that used lightsabers. So I wanted to have my concept was of being
like Grievous.
No, well, not really. The idea was he was a dueling droid that was just for a sparring droid that had been around, and he was actually like a relic. But he's really good, and he kind of got deactivated because he hates losing. So he went. He was a horrible sparring partner essentially. But he
would school people.
But the problem with that was in Star Wars, according to Scott, is only Jedi can use lightsabers. So if you tried using a lightsaber, you're not a Jedi. You're going to be murdered. So apparently
That's
that
not
idea
very
was
good of the light side of the force. That's
well,
kinda
you know, certain religions are just that way. Yeah, I think it would have been awesome to play too. Man, you know, maybe a different game, or maybe in a game where there aren't Jedi mixed in with the group. That would work better. I would love to play,
or maybe not Scott's version of Star Wars. Yeah, different DMs, different different
You could
flavors.
have also used things like shock stabs and electro whatevers. You know, there's other things to use that can block lightsabers. For
I consider going down that route, but I really wanted to go. I don't know if they have the right.
You basically wanted to get like a soundboard and trigger that.
Yeah.
And hopefully not get sued by Lucasfilm or demonetized by Lucasfilm.
So there's that. We because wait a minute, that all came from somewhere, and that was for the May 4th. For May 4th, we should play a Star Wars game, which we could probably definitely make that happen.
Probably definitely.
Yeah, we just got to figure out who we want to get the DM in. I know Scott would do it in a heartbeat if we asked him. He's great, awesome that way. And and one of the reasons why we always have Scott run so many games is because I don't know anybody who knows as much about RPGs as Scott. Whether you agree with him or not, he just has a vast storehouse of RPG knowledge in his brain.
Yeah, like his leisure time is reading RPG manuals. Whereas, like, you know, for us, it's like we deep dive into one system and do like a lot of like world building sort of ideas. So it's more about like writing and kind of keeping Dungeons and Dragons in mind with writing.
Someone asked what about the evolving magic item video idea? We had talked about that. Ted's got some stuff he wants to do with that. I'm pretty sure it's just one of there's always so much that we can talk about. We can do, games we want to play. It's never ending. Like someone just sent us a message over on Facebook, and they wanted to check out their game. And I was kind of like told them, well, we really don't have the time to learn a new game, check it out, and review it. They're working on it, and then they sent me like this real long wall of text afterwards, and I hadn't gotten around to responding to that. And it was just like after that, there was a short one. Well, I guess not. I'm like, guys, it's not personal. When we don't get back to you, it's not personal. Literally, hundreds to thousands of people can reach out to us at any given time, and you can just catch us in an off moment where we're doing something, we see it, like, oh, I'm going to go back to it, and we just never get back to it because by the time we gotten back to it, there might be another 10, 20, 30 messages or emails or something like that. It's not like that. It's never personal. I'm always concerned that we seem kind of like aloof, and we don't really mean to be that way, but there's just more people out there than we can possibly interact with.
Well, and then also too, like, this is all our part-time thing. Yeah. So there, like, for right now, that's kind of also just the way it is as far as that goes. And I mean, you guys out there who say you read blogs, right? How many blogs do you read a day? Well, sometimes we get as much text as like a single blog post from multiple people, right? And most people don't read 10 blogs a day, right? They might read 1 or 2 every single day. And like, meanwhile, we get that from like 10x. Every single time. So it can be a little daunting. So sometimes it's about persistency, but also with like RPGs, like it is a lot to learn somebody else's complete rule set as far as that goes. Like that's why we don't often branch out of D&D, is because it's the time sink of learning. And it's the reason why you guys might have a hard time getting your friends to play other RPGs to a certain extent.
Or even getting them to try 5th edition, from another edition.
Familiar with something else.
Yeah.
So that being said, the short is, it's not personal. We'd love to hang out with all you guys, game with all you guys. And like I said, like we probably spent like $300 or close to it to game with you guys in Tampa, right? And I'm just saying that because we love gaming. We love gaming with you guys. We love hanging out with you guys. We really appreciate you. But that being said, there's only so much we can do.
Unless cloning comes around, becomes possible.
I don't know, you guys have been around a while. You remember when I used to comment back to every single comment on YouTube?
There was a day. There was like, when we were around and under the 5,000 subscriber threshold, that was tenable.
Well, 5 to 10 I used to do it, and it just got to the point where I couldn't. Actually, it gave me anxiety after a while.
Well,
it's all
like, I've actually, like, I schedule time to go into the comment section of videos, or there's that channel that discussion thing that you can comment to various comments across videos as a YouTube creator, and like I have time scheduled to go do that, but also like can't burn 3 hours a week doing that because not that much else would happen but commenting the videos, right? So
yeah, so now I try and go in there like once a day and just grab a handful, respond to a handful of comments, and so I guess like we spot comment back now is kind of the way we do it, or like if a video has just gone up, I might go over there. Oh, there's a dozen comments.
Oh, you know what? I'll give you guys some advice to like try and get the attention of any YouTubers like in the comment section. If you comment like when the video first kind of goes up, like say first few hours or whatever, more likely to get noticed and reply to then like being early, definitely within the first few hours or the first 48 hours. That's going to help you massively. And also too, just like don't write like a massive thing because it's a lot to deal with. Because if I can write 10 comments back to people and not have to read the massive wall of text versus like only engaging with that one person, like, so it's a bunch of like shallower interactions versus one really deep one. Like it's like a economy of scale.
Well, you know what happens too with the really long ones too?
Yeah.
Sometimes they get spam filtered out.
Yeah.
And just the way the YouTube thing is, which is weird because I'm constantly fishing Mike Gould's comments out.
I wonder
of
if
the
we
spam
made
filter.
him, and we'll talk to him about this later, but like made him a moderator because then he's like maybe whitelisted by the channel. Like
maybe.
there's certain people like I trust their judgment as far as things go.
Mike Gould
and Boris Stremlin.
Yeah, those guys add a ton of value to the comment section, and also like I know like those guys are talking to. They're not just talking to us; they're talking to the other commenters, and there's a lot of great discussions that happen there too.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like to a certain point, it becomes more of like you guys talking to one another as a community, and then we can get to kind of chime in as and when we can.
I randomly respond to comments. I might log into the Nerdarchy email and see there's comments, look through and be like, oh, there's one on this that's specifically addressed to me about something. So I'll go back and it'll be like, yeah, it might be a week or a month off, but I answer the comment sometimes when I see it. So, but again, it's going to be that kind of chance that I see the comment, I've read it, and recognize it's to me, and I'm answering it specifically.
Who among us has not replied back to a YouTube comment from On the John? Cast the first die.
Yeah, that is actually like the best time
because you're a captive audience. Like my like random grabbing a comments to comment back to, that has sometimes happened, or I'm posting on Instagram, Cropstagram. So
that's how I get distracted at work personally, is reading the comments.
Yeah. So I either have scheduled time to reply to comments, or that like ad hoc sort of way of things happening.
So how do we deal with salty players? And there's a lot of great suggestions: pepper, beer, watermelon.
You lick them and you lick them, and then you take a shot of tequila,
and then you bite the lemon, or is it the other way around? I don't remember.
Yeah. What order does it happen? Bartender.
Is it lick, lemon, and then slam?
Maybe. I don't know. Somebody
lick, bite, slam.
Somebody in the comments below. You got this.
So I'd say sometimes players are just going to be disappointed that something doesn't go their way. They might not necessarily think it's unfair or anything, but they just might be like grumpy about it.
I mean, if it's consistent, then they might just be kind of a bit of an a-hole.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's your DMing. We don't really know. It could be any number of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's once in a blue, like it could just be chalked up to bad day, or it could just be somebody that has a bad attitude for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, like maybe they don't like their job.
Oh no, your player's a dick.
Other problems or.
Let's see. One of my players constantly tries to one-up me on rules knowledge. You keep telling him DM is always right, but he just gets saltier and saltier. You know what? There's always just going to be conflicts of personalities at your table. You're going to have to figure out how to deal with that person, or if it gets so bad that it's you can't, then like
it becomes whether it's worth it to you to have the aggravation of having that person at the table.
Yeah, like. It's like that's the thing. Like you're saying, like you're like, well, I'm the DM, so they're my rules, and then they just keep escalating, and then it's like, well, these are the rules I'm playing by. You don't have to play here. That's all, there's nowhere else to go after that.
Because it is really funny. Like there's plenty of people that want to play role playing games, but you have the leverage when you're the person that is interested and good and competent at running the game, because people want to be at your table. It's not really the other way around. Like when you're running games, like you're kind of a precious resource in a way.
So the funny thing is, right, we're going on about an hour and a half now.
Yeah.
Ted would have shut the shit down a long time ago.
Like,
see what happens when Ted's not here to rein us in. But that being said, so I think we covered everything we needed to. We called out the guy we're giving stuff to. We got people for Nerdarchy Ryan's game, and he's going to send you the information on that. I don't know if he wants to let you know anything about the theme or anything.
Yeah, I'll do that in the email.
Okay. We got the new writers, Megan and Doug. Awesome job, guys. Extra awesome job for Ty Johnson for making that shit happen for us, building the bullpen, which, I can't wait till we're doing, as many articles a day as we do videos, which will be awesome. And I think that covers everything. If you guys want to get in on our giveaways, just remember, either be a patron or do free entries. Go over to nerdarchy.com. There's a contest and sweepstakes section. In there, we'll actually give you an address where you have to mail us a form or something. I think our barrister, Nate, put that together.
Yeah,
it's a form. It's like one per month sort of thing. Like it's for that
proper
month.
forms and procedures at the proper times.
Yeah, you can't send us the next year in advance. So there's that. And with that, until next time, guys, stay nerdy.